In Conflict in the Realms, Katlyn's ordinary life is abruptly transformed into a fantastical adventure filled with danger and intrigue. Katlyn soon discovers that her adoptive mother, Mama Lucy, is a real witch. This revelation comes as she rescues a mysterious guy from the streets, only to learn he is a half-demon with a bounty on his head. The stakes are raised even higher when they are pursued by a dragon in the service of the Demon King. As Katlyn navigates this new reality, she is forced to confront her own hidden powers and the profound destiny that awaits her. Alongside her newfound companions, Katlyn must unravel the mysteries of her past, the true nature of her powers, and the reason behind the relentless hunt for them. Conflict in the Realms is a gripping tale of magic, self-discovery, and the eternal battle between good and evil. With its rich world-building, dynamic characters, and thrilling plot twists, this book is a must-read for fans of fantasy and adventure.
From this high up, I could see the world laid out before me. The fields beyond the town, the barns and farmhouses. I could see for miles in all directions. I soared higher to fly above the clouds. The air was cooler up here, but I liked it. The rush of the chilliness against my skin and the feeling of being utterly alone and free. Free from the darkness of my past and the uncertainty of my future. The moon was my only companion as I circled around, wanting to stay forever within the clouds and not have to touch down again. In some part of my mind, I knew this was all a dream, but I never wanted to wake up from it. Not that my life was all that bad, but I certainly wasn't free to fly. I was larger than life here, above the world, but all dreams must come to an end. I faltered in midair and suddenly hurtled down, spiraling out of control. Down, down, down. I shot upright in bed with my heart pounding in my chest as I gasped for air. I was in bed, safe and sound, not ready to die as I hit the ground from such a great height. With a groan, I flung myself back onto my pillow and glared at the dull ceiling above me. I missed the moon and stars already. As I lay there, I rolled my shoulders, trying to ease the weird tension built up in them. But it didn't go away, and instead grew worse. I turned over, but when that didn't help, I rose thinking standing would make it stop. It didn't, and I stood in front of the old dingy mirror on my dresser, rubbing my neck and wondering if I was coming down with the flu. My body ached in weird places, and my arms were exhausted as if I'd been using them all night. "Katlyn, are you up yet?" A woman's voice called from the hall. "Yeah, I'm up," I replied. "Be out in a minute." "Get your sisters up," she yelled back. I grinned and hurried to get dressed. They weren't my biological sisters. No one in this huge old mansion was related by blood. We were all taken in by the woman we called Mama Lucy. I came here nearly 10 years ago when she found me wandering the streets alone. That's how most kids wound up here. She took us in without a second thought, homeschooled us, fed and clothed us. She was our Mama Lucy. I was the oldest in the house now. Those who used to be my age had moved away, ready to be on their own, but many sent letters and visited every now and then. As I'd grown older, I'd wondered how she managed to take care of us all. I never saw any money come to the house, or any checks in the mail from the government. All the kids made up stories of where her money came from, that she had a treasure hoarded in the basement, or she was really royalty, but ran away and came to live here instead. The stories changed every year. Part of me cared to know, but another part didn't. She gave me a home, and I was grateful. "Mary, Judy, time to get up," I said as I opened the door to the room next to mine. Two little girls, one blonde and one a redhead, sat up to stare at me with drowsy eyes. They were 12 and 13. "It's too early," Mary grumbled, and tucked her head back beneath the covers. "No, it's not. Come on, you don't want to be late for breakfast, do you? The boys will eat all the bacon again," I warned. Mary and Judy leaped out of bed at the mention of bacon, and I laughed as they darted past me, racing for the bathroom down the hall. I loved mornings in this house, listening to the hustle and bustle of the other kids, and hearing Mama Lucy's laughter and talking. "There she is," Mama Lucy said the moment I entered the dining room. It had a long table that could fit 20, and it was mostly filled already. She kissed the top of my head in greeting. "You don't look like you slept well, dear." Weird dreams," I said, finding one of the empty seats. "You've been having a lot of weird dreams," she mused. "Anything on your mind?" No, not really, I lied. I always had things on my mind, like why I kept having these weird sensations that someone else was in my head, or why my dreams went from flying to utter nightmares. I'll make you some tea tonight. Maybe it will help. I thanked her and reached for the plate of waffles and grabbed a few pieces of bacon. Mama Lucy hummed as she walked around the table, making sure everyone had enough to eat. Her vibrant purple shawl draped over her shoulders, and her black skirt billowed around her bare feet. She might look frail, but that woman was strong. She was stern with the kids she took care of, but she held her own against anyone who tried to give us crap or tried to buy out her home. We were surrounded by businesses and buildings on all sides, but her home remained. Men in suits stopped by at least once a month trying to threaten her with legal actions to get her to sell the property or at least upgrade it. But she stared them down, and the other kids and I would watch from the windows as they bolted for the street. But that wasn't the best thing about Mama Lucy. She was also a witch. None of the younger kids knew that, and I was one of the few older ones who understood what she did, or at least what she believed in. Protective charms hung on all the windows, stars and bells, to ward off dark spirits. Several cabinets were off limits to the kids, out in the greenhouse, but they were only filled with the herbs she grew, dried and bottled, herself. Most of what she did was for teas and soaps, lotions, and things like that. Natural items she sold at the farmers' markets, and through the tiny online shop she set up. Most of her orders came by mail, something I always teased her about. She offered to show me how to make certain teas to relieve various symptoms a someone might have, and even taught me words of protection. If I believed in that sort of thing, she would always tease at the end of our random lessons. Whether she was a real witch or not didn't bother me. She was the only mom I'd known, the only parent I had since Dad died. I lost my appetite thinking of him and pushed back from the table to take care of my morning chores in the greenhouse before lessons started for the day. All the kids had chores once they were old enough to help around the house. I liked being in the garden and the greenhouse the most, so Mama Lucy let me take care of her veggies and herbs. "These are delicate plants," she told me. "They need love and care, not just water and to be weeded. These plants pick up on a person's emotions. You must always be aware of yourself when caring for such fragile things." I took her words to heart, and before I entered the greenhouse, tried to leave behind any dark thoughts of the day I lost my dad. When I failed, I turned to the garden instead, hopeful that tugging some weeds out would help ease the pain blooming to life in my chest. I pulled on my work gloves from the fence, grabbed a spade, and went to work. I weeded around the tomato plants and the peppers, moving down the rows of vegetables. But apparently, this wasn't a good enough distraction. Soon I was lost in the memory of that day. The worst day of my life. "Katie, get away from the window!" "Daddy, what's going on?" I asked, standing on my toes to try and look outside. He shoved the curtain over the window. "You can't let them see you. Hurry now. Grab your bag and come with me." I picked up my backpack and held his hand as he tugged me through the house. "Where are we going?" He was scared. I'd never seen him scared before, and it terrified me. I heard shouts outside and car doors slamming. "Daddy?" "Hush now," he whispered as we neared the back of the house. He crouched before me. "Do you remember what I told you?" I stared fearfully towards the front of our tiny cottage that was meant to be safe out in the middle of the woods. My bottom lip trembled and tears sprang to my eyes. "Katie," he whispered sternly, "do you remember?" "The bracelet, never take it off," I recited, staring at the silver bangle with the gold runes set in it around my upper arm. "Never speak our last name to anyone. Never return to where we've stayed before." He nodded. The voices grew closer, and he pressed a finger to his lips, holding me close. I held his gaze and jumped when they pounded on the front door, but didn't scream. "You go out to the woods," he whispered on a breath. "You go to your hiding spot, and you stay there until morning. Do you understand?" "You're coming too, right?" I replied, but from the hard look on his face, I knew he wasn't. "Daddy." "Do as I say and do not use your flashlight." More pounding, followed by angry curses, made him stand and shove me towards the back door. "Now go, quickly, and do not come back, no matter what you hear." He shoved me out into the night and closed the door behind me as I heard the front one crash open. I took off into the darkness, dashing into the trees behind our cottage. Yelling sounded from the house, but I didn't stop. I rushed through the trees, dodging them as they appeared out of the darkness. Tears streamed down my cheeks, fearful for Daddy, but I did as he said. I ran until I found the rope ladder by the large oak. I climbed up quickly and hauled it up after me. I hunkered down in the hollow of branches. We couldn't build an actual treehouse, no matter how much I begged. Daddy said we had to be able to hide, and anyone could find a treehouse. I tucked my head against my knees and waited, but for what I didn't know. Silence fell over the woods. It was late fall and cold, but no birds fluttered in the branches, and there wasn't even a whisper of wind. Just my ragged breathing as I peeked through the branches. I wondered if it was safe to go back, even though Daddy said to wait until morning, but I thought of those men yelling. They were going to hurt him, I knew it. Just when I found my feet, a bright white light exploded from where our cottage sat. A roar, like from a giant monster, deafened me. I stared in awe at the light until it hurt my eyes and sank back into the safety of the tree branches. I waited there, shaking and terrified, unable to move. I didn't lift my head again until the sun shone brightly overhead. I threw the rope ladder down and climbed to the ground, falling from it when I was almost to the ground and landed with a thud. Half asleep and scared the men might still be at the house, I stumbled and staggered over my feet until I reached the cottage, or what remained of it. No one was there. No bad men, no Daddy, and no cottage. It was a blackened ruin, as if it caught fire at some point during the night. I sank to the cold ground and cried and cried. I shook my head and stared at the weed I'd mangled while the bad memories filled my mind. I hadn't seen that night so vividly in a long, long time. After seeing the house ruined somehow, I managed to make it to this town. I'm not sure exactly how many days I spent wandering around until I found myself being stopped by a woman with a brood of kids around her. Without my having to say a word, she scooped me up in her arms and took me home. After days of trying to track down my family with no results, since I refused to tell her my last name, she accepted me as another one of her kids. I dropped the spade in the dirt and sank back on my butt. Mama Lucy still didn't know my last name, and there were times I nearly forgot it. I repeated it aloud now, the sound of it weird even to my ears. Katlyn Dara. I said it 3 times before I felt comfortable in the knowledge of who I was, or at least who I thought I was. I tore off my work gloves and stared at the silver bangle in the morning sun. I outgrew it. It didn't fit on my upper arm anymore. Now it was on my wrist. Dad said never to take it off. Never, but why not? He left me that night, left me alone in this world with his rules that got me nowhere. I had no mom and no dad, no family. I had nothing except this bangle. He never gave me a reason to keep it on, never told me why not to take it off. The runes meant nothing to me, just weird designs I didn't understand, like the rest of my life before Mama Lucy found me. Alone in the garden, I held my breath and removed the bangle. When nothing happened, I let out the breath I held and stared at the cold metal in my hand. The bangle was beautiful, but I didn't want it. I was a few months away from being 18, and when that time came, I wanted to leave Mama Lucy's house to start over. I could bury it in the garden. No one would know. The idea sounded good, so I picked up the spade again and set to work digging a hole. The deeper I dug, the wider I grinned, feeling a weight start to lift from my shoulders, until a pain shot through my back and I gasped in pain. The tension I woke with this morning was 10 times worse, and I grimaced as the sharp pain spread through my shoulder blades and down my arms. But it wasn't normal pain. I felt as if my body was on fire and something was moving inside of me, trying to get out, trying to tear through my skin. I hunched over, alone in the garden, wondering if I was dying when I saw my bangle in the dirt. Scrabbling for it, I slid it back over my hand and closed my eyes as the strange sensations instantly vanished. I blinked a few times, clearing away the disbelief of what happened, and swore I saw the runes on the bangle glowing before it faded away. I stretched my hand and my fingers, admiring the band in the sunlight, but it didn't glow again, and for those few moments I doubted my sanity completely. Was I still dreaming? "Katlyn, Mama Lucy says time for lessons," Mary said from the back door. "Coming," I replied, hearing my voice shake. I picked up my gloves and the spade and returned them to their place, wiping the dirt from my hands on my jeans. I was barely back inside the kitchen when Mama Lucy was there, eyeing me curiously. "Katlyn, something wrong?" No, nothing, I'm fine. Just something in my eye," I lied. Her brow arched. "They look good to me. Are you sure it doesn't have to do with how you came to me?" I hated when she did that, knew what I was thinking without my saying a word or giving anything away. I stumbled over my words, and she draped her arm over my shoulders, leading me back outside. "But lessons are starting." "They can wait a few moments. That's the benefit of homeschooling." I heard that line plenty of times before. On days it would snow, she'd let us all be outside to play in it, or when it rained and puddles formed in the backyard, or any other time the weather was too nice or too intense to be stuck staring at the pages in a book. She loved nature, and she instilled that same love in every kid she rescued off the streets. We wandered outside to the greenhouse, but I stopped at the door. "The plants will be fine. You're with me." "Are you sure?" I fidgeted, remembering that lecture word for word about not rubbing off any negativity on the plants. "I don't want to kill anything." She laughed, a deep sound that warmed me and made me smile. "Come along, Katlyn. You could use a good strong cup of tea this morning to chase away those nasty dreams you've been having." "I never said my dreams were nasty," I mumbled as I followed her into the greenhouse. It was humid like always, but comfortably so, and the air smelled of fresh herbs that tickled my nose and instantly made me feel better. Whatever happened in the garden, it had to all be in my head. Otherwise, it didn't make sense, and I had enough things in my past that didn't make sense to have any issues with the present. "Keep what at bay?" "Memories of whatever happened to you." "Mama Lucy, She held up her hand to stop me, a gentle smile on her face. "You don't need to share with me. They are yours to keep, or yours to speak of when you're ready, if you ever are." She turned the pestle, smashing down the herbs and mixing them together. I watched transfixed as she took a pot of water and heated it over a tiny Bunsen burner. When it was bubbling, she filled a metal steeper with the herbs, poured the water into a handless mug, and dunked them in. "What will it do?" I asked as she handed it to me. "Calm your mind and let you put your past behind you." "I'll forget what happened." I didn't want that, did I? "No, child. It will merely clear your mind and let you sleep in peace. For weeks now, I've noticed a change in you. This will soothe you until you are ready to face whatever haunts you." She nodded, and I took a sip. "And remember, if you ever wish to speak with me, I'm right here." I sighed as the warm tea slid down my throat and within seconds did calm my racing thoughts. "I don't think you'd believe me," I whispered. Just as quietly, I heard Mama Lucy reply, "You would be surprised what I know." We stayed in the greenhouse until the tea was gone. She tended to the herbs I hadn't been able to, and when I felt ready to face the day, we headed back inside. Everyone was at the table, ready for their lessons, talking or reading as they waited. When they saw Mama Lucy, they grinned, and I took my seat near the head of the table. "All right, kiddies," she said with a bright grin. "Today we get to learn about the stars." I settled into my advanced work, letting her lesson of the stars and constellations keep me grounded in this moment in time. I was safe here with Mama Lucy, had been over nearly 10 years. I would be safe for another 10 if I wished.
Katlyn's journey has only just begun. With the revelation of her own magical abilities and the dangers that lie ahead, she must brace herself for the battles to come. The world she once knew is gone, replaced by a reality where witches, demons, and dragons are real, and every step forward uncovers new layers of mystery and peril. As Katlyn stands at the threshold of this new chapter in her life, she knows that the choices she makes will determine not only her fate, but the fate of those she holds dear. Don't miss out on what's to come as Katlyn delves deeper into her magical heritage and faces even greater threats. If you're enjoying the story so far, be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss any updates or new chapters. Your support helps bring this magical world to life.